We had an ethics bowl round between the team from Patton University in San Quentin and the UC Santa Cruz ethics bowl team.
Ethics Bowl is modeled on a sort of collaborative discussion about a difficult issue with the goal of trying to get somewhere in the discussion, not to beat down your opponent, but to understand the other side, right? To respectfully engage over difficult issues. If you've seen other debate formats, the things that you might look for or notice, number one, they're going to be much nicer to each other than you may have been used to seeing.
Right before the event, I was really nervous.
I've never been to a prison, let alone talk to a prisoner.
I thought it was going to be a lot more like the movies where like they're locked down and they're like, you know, they're going to be hollering.
For most people who come in who've never been to San Quentin, this isn't what they expect. And we're pretty proud of that.
Okay, so the first team presenting will be the San Quentin Patton University team. The question they're going to respond to is simple. It says, should we change the Goldwater rule? If so, how? So this position is controversial because the American Psychiatric Association's Code of Professional Conduct forbids psychiatrists from publicly commenting on the mental health of living public figures without first personally examining them. This rule is informally known as the Goldwater Rule, after the man who led to its creation.
Our position is that the Goldwater Rule should not change, but this should not preclude Congress from implementing additional legislation to put checks on the president. We don't want to politicize a medical profession like psychiatry. We don't want to break the bonds of trust that exist between a doctor and doctors and their patient. Politicizing this would have serious consequences. People would be less likely to seek help. People wouldn't know whether or not to trust their doctors. Removing the Goldwater Rule would further politicize a medical profession. And frankly, it would cheapen it to have psychiatrists just giving out armchair diagnosis at will.
Okay, that's 1 minute. So the team from Santa Cruz has 5 minutes to offer a commentary on the presentation.
They were very prepared for the Goldwater case. They had a really good argument, and it gave me a lot of insight on that.
They made like the most eloquent argument I've ever heard.
We would argue that it is already being politicized in the mainstream media, and the way it's being politicized, it's actually being used to warp people's perception about what's going on, whether in favor or against the president. So psychiatrists are the best equipped to come in and actually say what's going on with him and give some clarity, and the American people deserve truth as far as what's going on with the state of the nation.
While personal psychiatrists should keep the confidentiality of Donald Trump, this institution served for the public interest by not invading Trump's privacy, but focusing on the president's health, which is a public national interest. Goldwater should be applied to everyone because I think it's necessary to uphold this rule. But there could be an exception for Donald Trump because he is an exceptional person. He wields such exceptional power. We should treat him exceptionally. Yeah.
Even the psychiatrist who wrote the narcissistic personality disorder for the DSM stated that Donald Trump doesn't meet the criteria because he doesn't suffer from any kind of negative consequences of it. Let's call him or anyone who runs for public office, let's call them on their conduct and hold them responsible, because at the end of the day, if we start calling it mental illness, we are excusing his behavior. We are excusing everything he's done because now it can be said, well, he was mentally ill. He didn't know what he was doing.
So I'm going to give the judges a minute to discuss among themselves. What you've seen so far is often what you see in other debate formats, the back and forth. The other big difference in Ethics Bowl is the judges now get 10 minutes to ask any questions they want of the presenting team about what they just argued.
So my question to you is around the ethics of that, the morality of that. Do you think that leadership requires a higher moral standing? Should we expect more from leadership?
So that structure, that institutional structure, answers the question of should we hold them to a higher standard. We should hold them to the standard that that structure mandates, which is we get a vote every 4 years, and each individual can choose whether to hold them to a different standard by either voting for them or voting against them.
and they just had like a mental map of like the arguments down to a T. You had to be straight with them, and you couldn't go back on anything you said.
And just so you know, the way a round is scored, you have 3 judges, and we go sort of by votes. Each judge awarded a point total, but the winner of the round is the team that wins more judges.
I have San Quentin with 54 points and UCSC with 51 points for San Quentin for the win.
I have 51 for San Quentin and 46 for UC Santa Cruz.
I have UCSC with 41 and Patton University with 52.
So, congratulations to the Patton University team.
I remember looking out into the crowds and seeing the inmates and how attentive they were, and then seeing all the volunteers, and just thinking like, wow, this is a big deal. You know, it's easy for me to think of this as an extracurricular activity, but it's a lot more, it means a lot more than that to a lot of people.
And that was something that I felt was the most powerful part of the experience, was this idea of how important freedom of thought and freedom of exchange of ideas, freedom to exchange your ideas with another person, is like very fundamental to our humanity.
And my favorite thing about it was having a conversation where we really listen to what the inmates think about public issues, right? We're not asking them about prison, we're asking them about ethical issues we're all grappling with.
I just remember like going around and shaking everyone's hands and thanking them for letting us have this opportunity, because it really was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.